We all have storms in our lives that cleanse, clear, and convert the aftermath into a rainbow. If you have the right attitude, you can grow and weather the storm. Let's talk about it now over Lunch with Stormy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Stormy. And I'm excited to host one of my new friends today, Torrei Hart. And there are a multitude of reasons why you should know about this fabulous woman. She's the author of a recently released cookbook, Skinny Bitch Keto. That's right. And she's the epitome of multi-talent. Torrei's an actress, comedian, influencer, a mother of 2 teenagers, and a co-parent with her ex-husband, Kevin Hart. But I want to talk about a story about the night we first met, Torrei. We were at the Visionary Women's event, and it was in LA, and it's a wonderful organization. It's beautiful. I've interviewed Shelley Rich, the president of it. But I walk in this room, and I got to say, it was pretty white. I noticed it upon walking in. I was like, wow, I'm still in LA. And we met and got along. And after that event, we went out to a club, and I can't remember the name of it. But it was the exact opposite, where I was like one of the only white people there. But it was, we were just there. And you came up to me and there was another white guy there, and it was Rod Stewart. And we had a few drinks, we'd been dancing, and you said, Rod Stewart's here. And I was like, what? Rod Stewart is in this building? I have to go see him. And you take me over and you're like, go say hi to him. And I was kind of even standing behind you like a little kid, little schoolgirl going, I can't believe it's Rod Stewart, hot legs. All the songs are running through my head, and you're like, oh my God, girl. You grabbed my hand and you took me up there, and you're like, hey, Rod, I want you to meet my friend Stormy. And he was just getting up to leave, but it was days before COVID really broke. And I hugged him and I grabbed his little body and I smushed his face and kissed it. I was like, oh, Rod, thank you for all the makeout songs and all the amazing music. My whole life, I've been listening to Rod Stewart. I was like, you're welcome, love. You're welcome, love. Oh, thank you, love. And they leave. He leaves because it turns out Rod thought it was a different night. Do you remember that? Like crooner night or something? So Rod walks in. He's like, whoa, I got to go find my space. He was sitting in this great leather couch in a corner. And we caught him right on the way out the door.
Yes.
But I think about that moment because he was an icon to me growing up and someone that I really did enjoy his music. And I want to thank you so much because you made that moment happen because you're freaking fearless.
Oh.
And, you describe yourself as sassy and classy. And I just think bold, beautiful, and a badass all the way through. And I hope everyone gets to know you today because I love you. And I want everyone to welcome Miss Torrei Hart.
Oh, yay. Thank you. That was so sweet. And that was a fun night. Very fun.
Yes. A lot of good memories from that.
And I remember you checking that one guy who was being disrespectful towards me. So I remember you letting him know, big mistake. You have no idea who this woman is, and you're acting like you're the guy or this, big shot who's handling all these people's monies. And, meanwhile, I'm trying to introduce him to you because I think you're amazing and, get him eventually business down the road. And, he's Mr. Big Shot. So I appreciate you for standing up for me and letting him know, not today, bro. You got the wrong one.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
He was pretty pretentious, actually.
Oh, he thought he was the man.
He did. I hope he's listening and remembers that moment. Now he knows what badasses we both are.
Right.
So tons has happened since we met, right? The whole world is completely different. And my world is different too. But how are you? Are you staying home? Are you starting to, flourish a little bit? I left LA and came back to Utah to ride the storm out, literally. And having regrets already. I already missed LA and you're having to get together. And I was like,
I know.
A social event.
Well,
Please.
there'll be definitely plenty more that I would love to have you come to. And I'm actually I'm tonight I'm actually meeting with a whole lot of my comedian friends. My good friend Joe Torrey is doing an event, and I'm not doing stand up because during COVID, I lost a family member who was like my second mother. She was my aunt, she was my godmother. And that really, really, like, that was the closest person other than my grandmother to me who has passed. My grandmother passed when I was 6. So it's totally different. And, it pretty much wiped me out. Like, I mean, I had to do a lot of just distancing actually, and just really like, repairing, because I was crying a lot. I was depressed. I went through a whole lot, so I got closer to God, which, is a good thing that happened. Like, he's just been like on my neck, like, Torrei, you got to walk your path and things are going to change, So as far as that goes, like, I don't even really want to, the material that I've been putting out into the world, it makes me think now, like, okay, I have a responsibility to be more responsible with my platform and the material that I am putting out into the universe. So I was just telling Joe, I can't do stand up. I can do your roundtable, but I have to prepare all new material, which is going to be more so spiritual material, enlightenment material. I'll talk about, the church and different things like that, but I don't want to curse. I don't want to say the word PUSSY all day. And, it's just, it just enlightened me and just made me want to elevate my consciousness. So, I mean, that's kind of what I've been going through COVID. And, being that I was in such a bad place, just missing my aunt, and, feeling like, wow, I can't believe she's gone, because she was the aunt who, we don't touch certain food recipes that she has, we know when Aunt Pat is coming, you do not touch the potato salad. You do not try to make, you don't try to make the cornbread stuffing. You don't try to make the ham, because that is her dishes and you will get laughed at because it will taste nothing like hers. So, just trying to remember that and thinking, during Thanksgiving now and Christmas, she won't be there. So it just really, really hit me hard. But, other than that, I will say that now I'm out of my slump, which thank God, because, for a minute it was tough, but it goes to show you when you really are focused and you really stay and, prayed up and make sure you're staying and living righteous, that you'll get through anything. And I actually have come out of it a better woman.
That is the best. I actually woke up today feeling, and I think it's so important we talk about it, because I woke up today feeling really hard on myself.
Right.
And, there was nothing that happened. I went to sleep and then I woke up, and I'm a really positive person and I'm generally happy every day. And I woke up feeling really heavy. There's an awful lot going on in the world. I mean, and the reinvention, this podcast is a lot about people that have just reinvented themselves and found different lives for themselves over and over again,
right.
and you do that. But I woke up today feeling really heavy, and I just started thinking about, excuse me, folks in the world who maybe don't have a disposition like me, that doesn't generally find, just happy by nature.
Right.
And wondered, like, if I feel this way in the morning, which I didn't like at all. And first thing I did, meditated, prayed a little bit,
right,
and started saying, okay, like, where is this really coming from? And I think, for me, I'm pretty sensitive to the universe. And so that intuitiveness or whatever it is that starts creeping in, and you feel that weight kind of the whole world,
right,
and losing someone or going through something like that, I can't, and hopefully don't have to imagine anytime soon, because I think we're all just a bit sensitive and having to, it is like a before and after, like with your comedy, like what you just said is, there's this before moment, and I'm trying to figure out, like, who are we now? Who am I? What am I, who am I going to be? Because so many things feel different, and it is somewhat like an awakening.
Definitely. And I even feel like, before I was so caught up in having to look a certain way, having to have my labels and, feeling like if I don't have my labels, then I don't feel justified or like,
Yes.
and now I don't care. I'm going to go out tonight. I'm not wearing makeup. I'll wear my little lipstick and, just keep it pushing. But I just feel different. I feel like, I don't have my nails done. I get my nails done every other week. I get my toes done every other week. I get my lashes done. I don't have lashes. My eyebrows are not done, and so it's little things like that that I started realizing like, wow, am I a little self-absorbed? This is good for me to stop being so self-absorbed and to look outside of Torrei. And, I know I have a big heart and I'm a good person, but it did make me realize, I might be a little self-absorbed. And so now, I'm not so concerned with, well, how do I look? I'm concerned with how am I making somebody feel versus, I can approach people because I look a certain way, but, am I leaving them feeling good? What am I putting out in the universe other than, feeling put together, looking put together, but am I really all the way together? So
That is,
yeah.
I relate to that so much. Like I told you before we started recording, I put
Right.
on makeup for you and it was
Right.
so hard. I was like, how do I do this?
Right.
Same thing, no nails, not interested in it. And
Yeah.
I had spent my last few years flying around, being maybe self-absorbed and
A
feeling
little,
the
maybe.
validation
Yeah.
from
Right.
feeling the validation from others, right?
Right.
Like having the interactions or the whatever it was. And I
Right.
think that's where the questioning inside or that idea of waking up and just feeling heavy, it's because it's a new Stormy. And
Right.
where, how do you even know where to dig when you've had, the blessings that we both have in some
Right.
ways, just the social circles or the opportunities that, come our way or we create. And were they worthy?
Right.
Like, was it worthy?
Well, I can say honestly, I have reassessed a lot of people in my life. And, I've been distant and I let them know, like, I'm going through this spiritual journey that I have to go through. And unfortunately, I have to isolate myself, and it's just, and I look at them now like, okay, some people have been in my circle for a long time in life. Like, I don't even see where they've really helped. They've just been taken, and like feeding off of me. And I'm like, okay, why did I keep them in my life for so long if they really weren't an asset? And, I felt the need just to say I have these friends or, these people around me, an entourage or what have you. But I definitely, feel like God has opened my eyes and, some people in my life who I was maybe a little distant to, it showed me like how good these people were versus some of the people who I craved to be around, wanted to be around, who really didn't have my best interest at heart. So I have definitely had an awakening and it feels good because it's just I was so out on the scene so much almost every night going out feeling like I gotta be out because I have to hustle. You gotta stay relevant. And it's like,
Right.
you feel like you have to stay relevant. And it's like, no, I don't. Actually, I just have to stay in tune with the creator who created me. He knows my heart. He knows the plans that he has for me. He's gotten me this far in my life. I grew up pretty much, you could say, in the projects, and now I'm living the way I live. So somebody's got a hand on my life. And that is the creator who created me. So I have to get back to my roots of praying, meditating, and staying focused on him and worshiping him because we were created to worship him and not be out in the streets feeling like I have to be relevant,
Isn't it crazy? So that relevant thing comes up for me too. It's like, oh, I'm not relevant. I haven't posted for a few minutes, haven't been on Facebook. I don't know what to say. I'm not
Right.
sure it matters. And I keep questioning, like, does this matter?
Right.
So I started gardening. I went to my son's house in Arizona in the desert. We built a greenhouse, started making all these. He studied aeroponics. So it's growing plants without dirt. I'll send you a picture of what I have going on here. I will. It's astounding. Built a greenhouse there and then came back to I went to LA and realized, kind of all the things you're saying. What am I waiting for? What am I doing here? My family's in Utah. These are really interesting times. And I haven't been settled here for years.
Right.
And come back and start growing my own food and kind of digging deep and making myself connect with nature, like sit outside, watch the sunset, not my phone while the sun sets, which was my old way, like watch the beauty of that. And, the birds are actually infiltrating my house. Nature is going crazy right now. There's so many birds. It's an issue. I have to bring in bird rescuers to get the birds out of here because they're in the stovepipes, they're in the walls, which was super creepy. I thought it was a ghost for the first week. Like, oh, I'm hearing things. It's like a scary movie.
Yeah.
But it is a moment of being able to say, wow, I'm sitting on my deck by myself. The sun is setting and I'm relevant.
Right. And it's amazing. It's funny you say that because I've been surrounded by birds and I've been, sitting out. Actually, I left my patio door in my bedroom and I left it open and 2 birds flew in the other day and they're sitting at the top of my canopy on my bed, just chilling. And you know what? I just let them chill. I just said, okay, if y'all feel like y'all want to stay here, cool, stay. And then, of course, one flew out and the other one, he flew out, but he flew into the glass. And I felt so bad for him because I was like, oh, my God. I mean, he bounced back, but he was able to still get up and fly away. But, I was just like, oh, poor birdie. But, usually I would have tried to get him out because I've had birds come in the house a few times and I'm like, no, get out. Because it's an old superstition. Like if a bird comes into your house, somebody's going to die. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's like an old superstition. And I'm like, this time I just let them chill. I'm like, hey, guys, whatever. If you want to stay, just please don't poop in here. But you're more than welcome to stay.
Get your bird diaper on.
Right. But stay, whatever. I was going to buy a bird soon anyway. Maybe I'll just get you guys.
Put some feeders in there. You come and go as you need.
Right.
I'm open. Yeah. Any kind of entertainment during this isolation because I'm super quarantined too. It's like the bird came in. I'd be like, hi, be my friend. Do you talk?
Right.
So you brought up living or growing up in the projects. And I was actually going to ask you where you were born. I couldn't find anything on your childhood or where you're from.
Well, I'm from Philadelphia. My mom and dad raised me. And I grew up until I was 9. I was in North Philadelphia. And there's these homes called Popular Homes, which is a project. And then after 9, I moved over to Jersey, which I'm so glad that they moved me to Jersey because that's where I learned about diversity. Because I go from one neighborhood, which was completely Black. I don't think there was any other nationalities there. And then I end up in Jersey. And I think we were it was us and 2 other Black families that lived in this community. So, it was a big culture shock for me. But the good thing about it is that it taught me about diversity and it taught me how to get along with both nationalities, other people now, but, whites, Blacks, Puerto Ricans, Jews, just different nationalities. And in the beginning, it was, like, well, wait, I don't, culture shock. But then I appreciate it because now in the real world where, you are in a diverse world, it definitely helped me be able to learn how to relate to all cultures.
I was born, I kind of had a similar experience.
Okay.
I was born 12 minutes from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
In Hammond.
Okay.
And there was a little apartment building and across the street was a big one.
Right.
And it was the projects.
Okay.
So we were right across the street and all the people there were Black.
Right.
And we had some, white friends that were around too. But I remember my little Black friends and my mom would always say, you cannot go in their apartment building. And so, of course, 4 years old, I'm like, hey, let's go to the apartment building. We'd ride the elevator and my mom would say, you can't go in the building. Well, we moved to Utah. And I think it was a culture shock for my parents, for all of us, because growing up, my parents would remind us like, hey, it was so white here. It's still so white here. 1% of a Black population and 7% in prison, by the way, which says something.
Right.
But she would remind us like, hey, don't forget, in other parts of the world, you see all kinds of different colors. You
Right.
know, like don't forget that. Remember where we used to live, and we were not Mormon, and so there was a bit of exclusion. There was a lot of exclusion for not being LDS, and so even though we were all white, it was still a little bit segregated in that sense. Like you had all the Mormon kids that couldn't play with you, literally. And then the kids that, we all turned out to be rebels because that's all we, that's all we could be.
A good rebel.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that growing up with Mormons? I don't really understand that culture, but
it's pretty conservative, and I'm really grateful for the evolutions that the church has made. But for instance, when I was 10 years old, big news was that a Black man could be a bishop, and they could not be a bishop before that. It was like 1978. And what happened was one collegiate team, and I think it was Wyoming, which is a little shocking, said, we're not going to play BYU because we think it's, they're racist, that the Mormons won't allow Black people to be a bishop.
Right.
And they did. And so that changed. And during that time, my mom was really clear with me, like, hey, you need to know why this is happening. This is, more of a political move than a from the heart move.
Right.
And, the Mormons are great. Like the LDS influence on the community, the church is very wealthy. They keep it clean. They help with crime. They do allow people to be themselves because they want to be themselves too.
Right.
And so there's this interesting synergy, right?
Okay.
Where we have one of the largest gay populations. Our Pride Parade is second, I think, only to San Francisco. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. The biggest tattoo convention, like one of the largest tattoo conventions. And I think it's because when you're not LDS, you tend to go, especially growing up here through the 70s, you tend to go far to the other side to like show that you're not, right? So the tattoos and those kind of things. But I think the church now has become pretty diverse in some of its beliefs.
Right.
Still really conservative, but I just respect everyone's faith. And, if they're living a good life, that's all you can ask of them. And wherever they find comfort, that's all you can ask. And, I have my Mormon stories. I have quite a few.
Okay.
Where things happen, in these churches, and there's always extremes versus, the more mainstream LDS population. But it was hard. My parents smoked cigarettes and drank, and my dad would run around without a shirt on, in the yard on Sunday. And, it was like you got older and people were like, no, I can't go to your house anymore. They don't like the way your parents live, or, they don't think you're living the gospel. And and so, those kinds of things were hurtful.
Right.
Because, when you're 9 years old or whatever, you don't understand, and you're not making divisions like that. You're just looking at your friends. And then with my sons, my son had a best friend growing up, and when they entered junior high school, they wanted to share a locker, and their parents came and knocked on my door and said, we're not going to allow Jason to share a locker with Austin. And I said, why is that? And they were like, well, we don't agree with your lifestyle. And at the time I was working, I had a great job. I was a single mom, I dated people, but I was said, what lifestyle is that? And they said, it's a lifestyle outside of the church. And, as boys enter these ages, we don't want influences from other people. And, I don't know, that was 1992 or something.
Right.
Maybe a little later, but it was shocking. It was a little later, like 1996. But at the time, I was so hurt again, because I thought, we haven't gotten through this yet. We're not through just being accepting of all people. And, those are the pockets. And then there's the majority of LDS folks that are fine with lifestyles and live their own.
Now, LDS, that's Latter-day Saints, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. And so it was interesting. I mean, it made me feel like a rebel, even if I wasn't, because, we were out having
Right.
kegs and stuff when you're a teenager, which is kind of normal, but
Yeah.
it wasn't normal here. Not for
Okay.
everyone anyway.
Okay.
But it was definitely a far cry from where I was born,
Right. Of
and
course.
I remember those years too.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a bit different for
Okay.
sure.
I'm
Yes.
Well,
So,
I grew up in church. My grandmother started a church. She was a
oh,
minister.
wow.
Yeah, and then I have two uncles who are ministers to this day. Three aunts. One passed away, but she was a minister, and then I have two that are left that are still ministers. So I kind of grew up similar to Mormons, but I always rebelled, and I was bad. So
You were that kid.
I always wanted the world, the bad life and the bad, that was what I sought after. But since the foundation had already been laid, like I always hear in this ear, it's God, like, what are you doing, Torrei? What are you doing? This is not how you were raised. I'm convicting you right now. So get it together. So no matter how far I always strayed, I always got pulled back. And like I was just telling you, especially during COVID, he really reeled me back. Like, okay, you cannot enter this world again in the same vein as you were before.
That's so beautiful, though.
Yeah.
How are your kids? Are they rebels?
My son probably is more so a rebel than my daughter. My daughter, no, she is very conservative. Oh my God, she almost had a nervous breakdown when she saw a weed pen. And I'm like, are you kidding me, girl? I said, get out of here. It is legal. Stop. Okay.
Right.
She's like, drugs. Blah, blah. I said, but honey, it's legal. It's better than cigarettes, honestly.
It's essential.
Right. I said, you got people out here smoking cigarettes, and that's cancer. It's a cancer stick, pretty much. I said, and then you got weed. I said, it's not the same, baby girl. But, she just couldn't fathom it. And, meanwhile, my son, he's younger. He's 12. He's coming into his own. And, he's just like, whatever. I mean, I named him Hendrix. So
I was just going to say that. When you name your kid
Yeah.
Hendrix with an X, which is
Right.
awesome.
Right. So he's already taken on, he's got his blonde dreads, his rock and roll vibe. He's doing his thing. And, my daughter, her name is Heaven. And so I named her to be the Most High, so I guess she's embodying that whole name. And, so I got one rocker and one conservative.
And you named them appropriately,
Yeah.
right? If you'd have reversed it and been like, Hendrix is all conservative. That doesn't make
sense. Right.
So can we talk about the whole, so COVID hits,
mm-hmm.
then a Black man gets killed, and the
Yes.
world was on pause. And
Yes.
it wasn't a new thing, right? This has been happening,
right?
Police brutality. So it wasn't like the first time it's happened. But I think it is the first time the world was on a timeout.
Right.
And we all watched it. Two men, Ahmaud Arbery.
Mm-hmm.
And George Floyd.
Yeah.
And everyone had time to watch, absorb, and then react.
Right. Right.
And I have, I have friends of different colors that have Black children.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me that regardless of the my friend's color, that the conversations they have, and especially with their sons, are about how to act.
Right.
If you are pulled over, like one friend of mine, Deanna, said, no, I tell him, you just keep your hand, you don't get your license, you're not getting in your glove box. Right. You are holding your hands on the wheel until asked. She's Hispanic.
Right.
I found it, so his dad is Black. And I said, how did you even know to say those things? Or how do you even know to do that? Because I probably wouldn't have. And, if I had my kids very young, I was 17 mm-hmm. And 21. So if they had been Black children, I wouldn't have known to do that, I guess, right. Unless their dad had taught me. But I saw an interview with you where you said, and this is funny, and I hope people don't take offense to it because it is funny.
Okay.
But you said, I knew I'd always have kids, but I didn't know I'd be raising two white privileged ones.
Right. Yeah, that's one of my jokes.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
that's a powerful statement in a sense. But when they're behind the wheel of a
Yeah.
car or something, do you find yourself having conversations like that? And has it changed since the awakening? Because I feel like it's everybody gets to wake up with these recent killings.
Right. Definitely, not as much with my daughter, and maybe just because every time I've been pulled over, I've charmed my way out of stuff. So, I kind of don't feel like I had to worry as much with her. And I've always known how to charm my way out of things. And I just figured a cop's no different. But my son, I definitely have had to talk with him. He's only 12, but I said, you're getting to an age where, you're not the sweet, innocent anymore. You're going to be looked as a Black man in America. So you have to walk as such. And it sucks that I have to enlighten him to that and kind of like shatter his world because, my kids, they are in a bubble in a sense. They didn't grow up like me. They've always lived in a gated community. They went to private school their whole life. And, so they do essentially live in this guarded world that me and their father has created for them because, he comes from the ghetto and, we both come from Philly. We both come from very, very humble beginnings. And so, unfortunately, we kind of didn't want to have to take them out of their bubble. But in this real world that is going on, we did have to have the conversation and he gets it. My son, one thing about him is he is very, very intelligent and he got it right away. He's like, yes, I understand. I'm watching. They actually started an organization, my kids and some of their friends called Black Kids Who Care. And it's an organization, for everything that's going on. And I didn't realize my daughter was such an activist because everything she's been posting lately, I mean, she's on TikTok and she's posting, nothing but revolutionary things and things that are going on in the world versus, her, stallion dance, so I'm proud of her because I'm like, wow, you're stepping up and she actually did the artwork for the organization. And so she's a little artist. And I said, I'm just so proud of you guys that you guys are taking this initiative to really make a difference. And so even though they are sheltered, they still get what's going on.
It's so heartbreaking, isn't it? I mean, I think, and as a white person whose parents, reminded me and would, anytime something happened on the news or whatever, they would remind me. And my mom would say, like, I was raised racist.
Right.
In Tennessee, separate water fountains, and she would talk about how when you're raised that way,
right,
that you have to go through these phases to not be.
So it's learned behavior. So yes. And I did it. I'm sorry to cut you off. No, I did an interview yesterday with Dr. Sean on Fox Soul Network. And we were talking about how it's so sad because it's generations after generations that are programming their children to be racist, and I don't remember ever being taught in my household, you don't like somebody because of the color of your skin, just because of how I was raised in a very Christian household and spiritual household. Is like, you love everybody, you take everybody in, and so that's always what I've been taught. And that's what I do. And I can admit, I have some Black friends who are like, you hang out with a lot of white people, they're evil. And, look what they've done to our ancestors. I said, no, I said, not everybody is. I said, so I choose to show love. And if somebody doesn't, choose to receive it or they don't want to reciprocate it, okay, fine. I won't deal with that person, but I don't, loop someone in just because of their ancestors or their race. It's not just one race. It's just like sometimes people like to say, all Black women are angry Black women or, they have attitudes all the time. And I'm thinking like, no, I walk around pretty chipper, like I wake up happy. I try to go to bed happy. I'm personable. I speak to whoever. I don't care. So I'm like, it sucks that we have all of these stigmas on us, and it's up to everybody to start having dialogue, to start communicating. You know, imagine if me and you wouldn't have just talked,
Right.
you know, the night that we first met. And, you know, I feel like we're building a great friendship. And that was because we were open to speak to one another. And we're definitely, you know, polar opposites, you know, but it was because we made a conscious decision to say, you know what, just because the color of her skin doesn't mean me and her cannot get along or we can't communicate. And, you know, it's just all about communicating and educating. I think a lot of people have lack of education.
Yes. And my mom broke the cycle
Right,
because she spoke of it openly. She
right,
spoke of things that she had to overcome and how, she would have to um, be at a different water fountain.
right,
And when she was a little girl, she said, I would be like, why are we at different water fountains? And her family would say,
right,
well, you can't drink out the same water fountain. And, she couldn't, so she had to fill in the blanks. Like,
right,
there
right,
was no real reason why, but she broke it. My dad he wasn't raised that way at all. I think probably because he was from Chicago and a
right.
little more blended than my mom, who went back and forth from Indiana and Tennessee. But she really talked about it.
Hmm.
And maybe that was because we were in such a white state that she was afraid we wouldn't know, or we might fill in the blanks like she had to.
Right,
But, when I think back on that, she's been gone for 9 years now. But when I think back on it, I just think how brave, how
right.
that she
Sure.
owned it,
Right,
how different that was from some of my other friends, where she made it part of the conversation of,
right.
you know, I used to be afraid. She would say it turned into fear, and I was scared. Like I
Yeah.
would literally go the other way if I saw a Black man.
And see that's where I say, you know, there's no education on it. And when you don't communicate with people, that's just what they think. You know, even the event that I was inviting to Friday, it's a networking event, but it's with my neighbors who, you know, we've been having debates because they don't get it. You know, they're they don't understand the world of a Black man because, you know, his wife is white, he's white. And, you know, I said, you know, but Dimitri, I like you, you're a very cool person, I love you, you know, you welcome me and my boyfriend into your home, and so I want to educate you though on, you know, about Black Lives Matters, because he thought it was a terrorist group, and I'm like, no, it's
Oh my
not.
God.
But that's what he thought. That's what, you
Right.
know, the people are putting in their head. And I'm like, no, it's a group about being tired of our men being killed. It's about the Black lives mattering just like everybody else. Like, we're tired of feeling like we're less than just because the color of our skin. That's it. I was like, and it's a group that's trying to get attention, and so the world can change. And so, you know, and once I started talking to him, I could tell, like, wow, as intelligent as this man is, he really didn't get it. And that was why we had to have the dialogue of, you know, me and my boyfriend going and talking to him. And I said, and if it starts with because they feel like we're safe Blacks, which I've heard that before, like, but Tori, you're safe. And I'm like, why? Because I live in the same community as you? Like, no, don't get it twisted. All my family does not live like this. And, you know, I still am going to fight for them. You know, I just so happen to be blessed to make it out of certain living situations. I said, but I have to educate and get people to understand, like, this is real, you know? So,
Yeah. And I've been
yeah.
saying lately, when we have founding fathers
Hmm.
signing a constitution where not only Black men couldn't vote at the time, but women couldn't vote either.
Right,
Um, and then we build an entire society on that.
right,
It's an evolution. Like it's so far deep
right,
that it's hard for them to adjust and see. But even myself, I have never been racist that I know of.
hmm,
I mean, like, I know there's sensitivities, but
right,
I'm
right,
always comfortable. I'll go to walk Compton at midnight. And
right,
I feel like I belong, right? And I'm
right,
comfortable doing it. It's definitely the patience of when people say all lives matter, right? And
right.
it's like, whoa, wait, it's Dimitri. It's not that they're bad. They really, really, really don't
Don't
get
get
it.
it. Yeah.
And it's 200 years of unraveling, as I've thought it through and read all kinds of things, and especially lately with this,
Hmm.
because I do hold myself accountable as a white person. I do know that my mom's family, they were racist.
Right.
It's just a fact. I don't want to be ashamed of that, but I do want to be accountable. You know, I
Right.
do want to be accountable and sorry and create a different narrative, a different way.
Love. You know, like,
Love.
doesn't it feel good to be loving and to, walk up to somebody and you're not just being judgmental and, looking at them in a negative light versus, because that just shows your mental anyway. If you're looking at everybody negative, then you're the negative person. So, I choose to look at everybody, like, always try to find the good in everybody and be a positive light versus, here come this, person who's going to think, I'm gonna rob them or steal from them or whatever, And what I've noticed is when I am a positive ball of energy and giving out that type of energy, it's going to be reciprocated. So I think people have to get that too. And unfortunately, some people won't ever get it. It is what it is. But, for the most part, I'm always about pro-human. Let's unite, and of course it's okay. You can still love your race and, feel like you can be, Black power, white power. And that is okay to feel prideful about your race. But that doesn't mean that you put another race down just because you love your own, and that's another issue too.
Even the race thing, like we're humans.
Right.
We're different skin color. In my mind,
Right.
It's like, it hurts my heart when we think we're different races, because we're not different races. We're all just humans that come from different places on the globe, and
Right.
our skin's different color. But I hate the word minority because it just doesn't make sense, because the human thing,
Right.
where we're all, and in my mind, and I know the problem is it's not the same for everyone, but if people think they aren't equal, or that there is a head start by being white, that's the privilege. Like,
right.
If you don't have to be, you can be poor and you still have a privilege.
Right.
And that is a confusing thing for people, but it matters. And it has mattered. It's mattered for 200 years. And if people wonder why, look at history. We've oppressed with weed. We use that. The war on drugs was really a war on Black and brown people, where we could put them in jail. And, I didn't have any white friends getting shook down on the corner for a joint in their pocket and thrown in jail.
Right.
It is different. And I've loved, the things I cry about is when I see everyone, Black and white, walking down the street together, and they've got their fist held high, and it's solidarity. And it chokes me up now, because that's it. And we've coughed through. I bless my mom. I'm so grateful for her for being so open and having, I'm comfortable talking about it because it was talked about.
Right.
We could always talk about it. And, I just think of her coughing that through the generation, and then my children being the benefit of that.
Right.
And then now this generation having the benefit of seeing what is unfolding. And, for me, seeing everyone on the street, I was like, wow, maybe it's not as bad as I still thought it was. Like, maybe people are just home, not addressing it, or not fighting for more equality, but just, not seeing it. Maybe there's beauty there too. I'm not sure. But the most beautiful thing I've seen is when we take the streets.
Right. All coming together. And that is because, people are stepping in and doing what they know is right. And I feel like also, it's a shift, and God is actually convicting people's hearts and saying, get out there. Some people probably like, oh my God, I'm out here. What is happening? They don't even understand why it's happening. But, it's happening because it's time. It happened before, and some things have changed. But as you can see, some things have stayed the same. So now it's time yet again to keep moving forward and to change and switch it up again, and that is, like you say, it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It really is. I'm glad. I despite all the horrific events that have happened to get us all to this place, I'm proud to witness it as a white person. It's like, okay, we're really going to get through it.
Right. Right.
because, I've never had the glasses on that said we weren't in it. I knew we were in it, but
Right.
the idea of starting to break through it, and not just for your kids, but for all the kids from everywhere,
Right.
that, get to live a little freer, know that people are going to have their back.
Right.
I don't want to live in a black and white America. I just want the humans in America, working together, being together,
Right.
sharing our stories, and, moving forward. So it's been.
Well, that has been my prayer, I will say, and that's it crazy in itself, because it's not something I used to pray for, and this is how I do know I'm evolving too, because I used to pray for me and for just my family, and close friends. And now I'm realizing I'm praying for world change. I'm praying for peace. I'm praying for love. I'm praying to see a difference, and that's how you do know there's a shift, because, well, I know for sure, because like I said, because I'm praying for different things versus just me and my immediate people. So that's a beautiful thing in itself.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that. I also, not long before all of this started, um, made a statement, that I pray for a revolution. I pray for the moment that we break the structure that divides
Wow.
as society.
Right.
I pray for that. I want it to be that way. I want the equality and throughout.
Right.
It isn't fair, and it's never sat right with me. I've said it 100 times. It's just, to my female friend, my Black female friends, it's not fair. I can't put my
Right.
finger on it, but I already know it's not fair, and it would break my heart. But I prayed for the same things, just the revolution. Like, let's
Right.
make the world. I've got a granddaughter coming up in her life, and I don't want her to have any type of blinders on or entitlement or head start. It's okay to start at the same starting line, and it's
Right.
okay to hold hands with people where the only thing we do is look different. We definitely don't bleed different. Our hearts don't beat different. There's
Right.
nothing different about us. When I look at you
Right.
and I look at me, it's like, pretty much the same, other than you have a way better ex-husband.
You think?
Well, kind of.
Let me tell you something. It's not as good as it, because I have to forever live in that shadow, and people don't recognize, my talent and what I did to help, the journey. And, so honestly, some days I'm like, oh, it's annoying, to be honest with you.
How do you shake that? Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like no matter, and this is me, and I need to probably get over myself, but sometimes I feel like no matter what I do or what I accomplish, it still goes back to, being his ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no,
Yes.
I'm more than that. I was more than that when I met him. I met him when he was selling sneakers, for crying out loud. I didn't know about, wasn't doing comedy. And, I was out the one doing plays and, always
Right.
making my family laugh and doing the same thing. So, sometimes it's more of a hindrance than you think.
That makes total sense. And I was going to ask you about this, like,
Mhm.
because you are, and even you started with, that vulnerability of talking about like the connections with God and what COVID has really done,
Right.
and made you adjust, and living a life in a spotlight, and even the divorce thing, and being vulnerable, and then being able to still be Torrei, because you were successful before that. I did read about that, and you found great success after that.
Right.
You continue to do you, and we, including myself, I said it in the intro, he was your ex-husband, continue to put you there, yet you continue to fight. Like, people need to know you did. The comedy was one, and we talked about that, and I'm super excited for your next clean round, because you're funny.
Me too.
AF. You are funny. I looked at your YouTube channel. What was it? With the fish.
Oh, Pretty Funny Fish.
Pretty Funny Fish. I was laughing at it.
Sketch group. And you see, I it's so crazy you say that, because I look back at that like, oh my God, did I do whiteface? Because I did I loved Barbara Walters, you know, and it wasn't to me. I was paying homage to her, but then I look back at it like, wait, first of all, you know, if a white person would have did this, we probably would have been in an uproar. But now I'm like, when I did it, it was just all comedy for me, you know? And I was like, I like Barbara Walters. She gets great interviews. She gets people to talk. And I just liked her, you know what I mean? And I just used to watch her with my mother. So it was just more so that paying homage. And now looking back at it, I'm like, man, I could have got like in a lot of trouble for that. But
I love it. So I think that's where comedy crosses the line. Like we have to
right.
almost bring that to the forefront in order to heal it. You know, it's like the vagina monologues, right? We took the C word and then we owned it.
Right.
And it took all the heat off it. But I love the white face. I think, you know, to me, it's funny.
Okay.
But I appreciate comedy. And, you know, I'm Polish, so I get all kinds of, you know, there's all kinds of comedy against, you know, the intelligence of Polish people.
Right.
But, you know, I think when comedy comes in, if you can take a minute to laugh at many things, it can take the sting out. But
definitely,
I wasn't offended. I think it's powerful. You know, it's powerful to go there. And, you know, people, we shouldn't be that sensitive, but
I'm not sensitive at all. It's so funny because I tell my boyfriend, he's more sensitive than me. And, you know, I nothing, like when I tell you my skin's probably like a lizard or something shedding all the time, like, oh, bring it on. What's next? You know, because I just don't feel the need to be sensitive about anything. I'm like, we got one life. You better live it up. You better be happy. You better be joyful. I'm just glad that I do have the gift of joy, because my whole thing is, you know, and I do have some moments where I'm down, but good thing is I know how to snap out of it. You know, I don't stay in it.
You
know?
did it with the divorce. And then I heard somewhere you help other women get through their end of relationships, or, you know, you helped me today just in our opening, but getting through the difficult times, because we're all living one life, and it is hard.
Very
hard. And then we've got these social things where you're always supposed to be happy and inspirational, and it is hard. It's hard to carry it.
I'll say since I've taken a break from social media, I've been 10 times happier, because so many people are posting like their life is so perfect. And it's, oh, me and my man, we don't never have an argument, and we're perfect. And we walk to the beach every day and kiss and hug. And then you've got this over here where this person who seems like they have everything in the world, and they really don't. It's all fake. You know, a lot of this stuff is fake. And so sometimes we find ourselves comparing. And what I've noticed is comparison is the thief of joy. And so I said, I am no longer going to sit and just watch and see what's happening anymore, and just continue to keep doing and work at my own pace. And that's it, because a lot of this stuff is smoke and mirrors. And, you know, when I took myself away from it and just started really doing some self-searching and soul searching, like I can tell you, Stormy, I feel so much better. And of course, I do need social media. I make a lot of money from social media. It's a big part of my business. But, you know, I've learned also that what God has for me, he's still going to have for me.
And it's a lot. So as hard as 2020 is, you've had a few things happen. One, your book, Skinny Bitch Keto, which I was the first one to buy that book.
You were. Oh my gosh. And
I was the night before it released.
Yeah, I came home telling my boyfriend, like, can you believe I met this amazing woman at the woman's event last night, and she's the first person to buy my book, and I just met her. Like, I mean, it just really touched me. You have no idea how many people who I've been just letting them know how much you just touched me, and because you didn't have to do that, and just been supportive since day one.
Well, you were driving me back to my car, and you were like, oh, I got this book coming out tomorrow. And I'm like, you're going to be an author tomorrow? You can add author to your list? Because when we were dancing, we actually talked about dating apps. I did.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking joining a dating app, because I just came out of a 12-year relationship. You know, so I'm trying to, and then COVID hits. It's like, maybe I should have held on a little longer. But, and you go, I can't do that. And I was like, sure you can. Everybody can do it. Sure you can. And then I realized, when we met, I didn't
Right.
know exactly what you did. We just connected
Yeah.
naturally.
Right.
And then you had to tell me. Um, but I was so excited for you. Remember, I was like, oh my gosh, you can go to girls' homes and you can teach them how to eat better. Remember, I had all
That's
these great
right.
ideas.
Yes. I
um,
forgot about that. I got to get back on that.
yeah, I was like, you should do this and
Hmm.
just spinning them out. And then you go, well, it goes on sale at 10 a.m. I set my
Yes.
alarm. And interestingly enough, my son just started this keto diet.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
I
I
have to.
got him on your book.
Good. And I would love to help him. And here's another crazy thing that has happened during COVID. I am coming out with butter because, butter is, I've been in the kitchen churning and coming up with recipes and doing butter. And so I'm actually working on the packaging right now. And so there is going to be a Skinny Bitch keto butter hitting stores very soon.
That's
So
brilliant.
listen, Stormy, and that was another thing. God, I just was in my doorway one day, like, butter? And it's like I heard this voice, and he's like, yeah, and I ain't never made butter in my life ever. But the next day, I went and got me some cooking equipment to make the butter, and boom, I have 3 flavors that are coming out.
Are you
So,
kidding me?
yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't your aunt?
You know what? It may have been. I mean, possibly. It just because
Maybe that butter will make that cornbread taste as good.
Right. Well, I already took, last week my friend had a little party. And so I took butter there and I made him cook with the butter. I made him use the Parmesan garlic basil butter that I made. And so he loved it. He said, I didn't even use any seasoning. I've just been cooking everything in the butter, Torrei. And so, the other one that I have is blueberry, which is more so sweet, but they're all keto butters. And the other one is just a regular salted butter. And it's all keto friendly. And it's for people who are not on keto as well, but it's basically, it's part of the keto lifestyle. And I'm just super excited because I never in a million years would have thought I'd be churning butter and making a product and shipping it out and what have you. So,
well, I would have thought that because you have Heavenly Hair Care.
Yes.
Heavenly Heart Hair Care, is that what it's
Mm-hmm.
called? And
yes.
It's for all ethnicities.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I looked that up.
Yeah.
And you have your book.
Mm-hmm.
You have a movie that just came out, Turnt.
I do. Turnt. Yes.
Watch the trailer on it, and it looks really good about a Black musician, right? That's
his brother gets murdered. Yeah. And so he wants to avenge his brother's murder. And I'm one of the executive producers. So I did that about 3.5 years ago. And here's another crazy way of how God works, right? So we finally got it on streaming platforms because it was independent. Me and Jamal Woolard, who played Notorious B.I.G. in a movie, and Man Robinson, who's a phenomenal director out of Atlanta. The 3 of us came together as all EPs, and we did the film, and so it streamed over more than 4 million views because of COVID. Everybody's sitting in the house and they're watching. And so I'm like, we've been trying for years to get this movie out like this. And all of a sudden, boom, we have this blessing because of COVID. So
that is incredible.
Yeah. So we're working on Turnt 2 now. So
it just came out in December, right? It just hit the streaming.
Well, it hit in actually November. Okay. And, and it was slow. It was very slow. But then when COVID came, everybody's booed up. They're in the bed. They're watching. It's like, okay, let's check this movie out and see what it is. And so, I mean, I still just am like, okay, yeah.
And then the bully sticks.
Yes.
So I reached out to you. I think I was just saying hello. Mm-hmm. I can't remember why I texted you, but I texted you and something with the dogs, and you're like, hey, I just came out. What is it called?
Beyond Bully.
Beyond Bully.
And I can't take full credit. My boyfriend actually, the reason we did it is because our Frenchies, we met because of our dogs.
I have a Frenchie.
And yes. And so our dogs brought us together. And so our first date, we're at this vegan fair with our dogs. I'm not vegan. We just happened to go to the vegan fair. And we could not walk down the street without somebody stopping us. It was like nonstop. And, like, oh my God, your dogs. And they hit it off. We hit it off, been together ever since day one we, met. And so, we were like, we got to create something for the dogs. And at first it was going to be, we created a dog page. And then, boom, he's like, what if we create treats? And, he's a boxer. And so he actually had this company that sponsored him before. And I'm like, okay. And they were a dog food company. And I was like, so let's research them. And, we started doing everything. And voila, he came up with the packaging, the idea, put everything together. So we're actually company owners. And recently for my son's graduation, I gifted him 2% equity into the company. And so now, and he came up with an idea. I said, listen, so now you're a little, you're a business owner, bro. You're business partners. You have an attorney who's one of your business partners. You have me, you have Claude. I said, so you got to step up to the plate, come up with ideas. How are we going to market this? How we're going to get it out? And he came up with a phenomenal idea of making a snack pack. And he's like, let's put all the things in the snack pack. And so last week, Claude's been working on the packaging for that, and it should be hitting shelves next week. And so we're super excited. We have a lot to be excited about.
And 2020, for as hard as it is on the world, it's
right.
A lot your year.
Because I just, I'm like, what else can I do? I've always been a natural entrepreneur by heart. I never wanted to work for people. So I've always had that. I used to sell door to door. I would sell toys and just go hustle with a little cart. And, and my mom and dad would be like, girl, you might get murdered going into the city. I said, no, I'm making money. Okay.
Right.
I'm not like my sister. I love my sister, but she's more dependent. I'm like, no, mom, I have to get out here. I can't. I just don't like feeling like I have to work for somebody screaming and yelling at me. So, so I've always had that mindset, and, to have a partner with the same mindset is like, it's been an amazing ride. So,
well, the difference, I have good ideas and that's where they stay. It's like, oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, well, we got to work on that.
Yes.
We have to, I'm going to send you something from the Bible app, because I'm not always disciplined, Stormy. Sometimes I'm like, I'll get to it later. But I've learned I have to be more disciplined, because I want my companies to turn into multi-million-dollar companies. They're doing well, but I want the multi-million-dollar. And that's what I'm working on. And it dawned on me but you're not disciplined enough, because you do have a good life. So you're not as disciplined as you should be. So it's really just about discipline and execution, because look at your story. There's no reason at all. Your idea is just, you got to have, and if whatever help you need, and I told you that last week, let me know how I can support you, help, whatever, because, we got to do things together, stick together as community. And, that's how you do it.
Well, ironically, I took this test. It's called Clifton Strengths.
Okay.
And there are these, you find out your 5 strengths so you can not beat yourself up over things you don't do. Right. They go 1 through 34.
Okay.
My 34th strength is discipline, which means that's what I'm the worst at. My number 1 is strategic. It's strategic, connecting, ideas, all those things. And then there's way down the list is discipline. And it was great to know that about myself, because I beat myself up over it. So now I think, no, that's not your strength. So you need to just know that.
Right.
And learn how to create the discipline.
Right. And see, that's me too. I know I'm not disciplined. And that's where I do have someone who pushes me more, and he's like, no, you got to do this. And sometimes I get annoyed. I'm like, nah, I'm a free spirit. Leave me be. I'm going to get to it. But it's like, no, you have to have that discipline to get stuff done. So.
Does your boyfriend have a brother?
No.
How about his dad? Is his dad single?
He's married.
I need that kind of discipline. Anybody that boxes is
You know what? I'm going to pray that for you. That's going to be my prayer for you now. God, give her the discipline. And if she's not being disciplined, give her a nudge and say, Stormy, discipline. Give her that voice in her ear where she knows she has to be disciplined. So that is going to be my prayer for you.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. And it's all about just do it, there's nothing else other than when you want something, you just got to do it. So,
well,
You live an amazing life too. So sometimes when you're so blessed, it is a little harder to be more, less disciplined than other people who's like, this is all I have. So this has to work. So
You're amazing. We have to close up, but you've got all those things. I think I mentioned them all. I'm looking at your extremely long list. Yes, I did. I love it. Where can people find you? What are you doing?
Okay.
Next, you talked about, and I want to talk about where they can find Black Kids Who Care.
Oh, okay.
So organization too, because I think that is super. I want to send, I have a 12-year-old white step grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
He should be aware of that.
Right.
And, following it and participating.
Right. Well, right now they have an Instagram page, which is just Black Kids Who Care. And they're working on the organization right now. But right now, just the start is the Instagram page. I believe there's a TikTok. I have not really been on TikTok like that, but they might have a TikTok. And the more information I get from my daughter, I can definitely give to you so they can check it out. And, they're good kids. It's a diverse group of kids too, because there's other kids who are not Black that are in the organization. That's the name of it. But they're definitely doing something, and they want change, and they're proud of what they're doing, and I'm proud of them too, because I'm like, at that age I was running away. I was not caring about doing anything that was for moving the culture forward.
Well, that's a tribute to how you guys have raised them.
Yeah,
the mom that gets an idea and then whips out a pet food company, get some hair products going. I think they've got, to them, they're probably just playing with something, and they're used to that kind of movement.
Right. And I didn't even think about that. I'm just like, oh, okay. I didn't even think about it. Just
their role model is pretty intense. You got to live up to a lot. No, thank you. I think that this conversation has been, all the things that I knew about you, just us meeting, and felt in your spirit and your energy, which is what I was kind of, I was attracted to, was just, the laugh, the smile, so easy to be around you. And then, once we went dancing, I was like, I like this girl.
We had a ball.
We can shake it.
Right. Well, you have a sis for life. And like I said, whatever I can do, let me know. I'm here to motivate. I'm here if you need a prayer partner, if you need just someone to talk to, or if I see some man or tell me your list of what you like. And I'm sure I can help with that too.
Push him right in, reel him in.
Right. I'm a good wingman too. So
you're the best wingman. I remember we were driving and we said something funny, and you pulled your car right over and you had this notebook and I'm writing that down for a joke. That was funny. And you had said something really funny.
Right.
We pulled right off the road and you wrote it down. But you're so inspiring. Like, this conversation, I think more women can aspire to be like you. And I know that I will find that discipline and absolutely use that calling card. For all kinds of things, because you really are. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Stormy.
And represent. And the world needs that right now. And women, I think, especially when we're all digging deep and questioning like who we are and how we become a contributor on a universal level.
Right.
Where it really does matter what's happening in these other countries. And it really does matter that we all find our peace and our place and our strength and our discipline.
Right.
I think you're a leader in that. You should really consider inspirational speaking.
It's funny you say that. I actually have. I've been approached to, and I've done keynote speaking a lot. And the older I get, it's more that I'm leaning towards that and inspirational and just, helping. And naturally, that's what I do. I just naturally witness to people. I witnessed to a young lady yesterday at Spin. The day before Spin, another young lady who they just started pouring out their hearts. And I mean, I had just met them, but I felt like it was my duty to like uplift them and inspire and just let them know, like, this is just one small little bump in the road. You're going to be okay. So I definitely can see that for sure.
I think it is our duty. And
Yeah.
being, happy people, like we said, it by nature, it
Right.
does become your duty to try to lift. And, we're blessed that we are. We're
Right.
blessed that, we just, the happy disposition, it isn't free. It's not, it can be unique. Life
Right.
is hard.
Right.
So it's Torrei. Where can we buy your book?
Oh, so Skinny Bish Keto, you can go to torreihart.com, which is TORREIHART, or you can go right to my social media, my Instagram, which is just Torrei Hart, or Skinny Bish Keto. And the link is right in the bio. And, you will not be disappointed with these recipes. They're really good recipes that are still keto friendly.
They are. So my son has started making them. And I'll send you pictures.
Okay, please. I would love to see that.
Yeah, because he doesn't cook.
Okay.
So this is all happening together, right?
Okay.
So he's going to start cooking from your cookbook. I sent it to
and
him,
I could give him some tips on different things, how to get into ketosis and, what'll speed up. And it's always, men always lose faster, but I can also give him different things that I eat and substitute for different things too, like rice, the rice cauliflower, and certain creams and cheeses. And I have to give him some of my butter. I'm going to send you some of my butter.
We'll both take the butter.
Yes.
The blueberry butter on my toast would be divine.
Okay.
Absolutely divine.
Well, he can't have toast, only if it's keto bread.
My toast.
Well, I'm saying for your son, like if he uses the sweet butter, he's got to make sure he's using keto bread. And I'll tell him what type of keto bread to use too.
Well, he is struggling. That's what he said. He's like, I can't, I'm not sure what to eat. And I don't know. He started a week or so ago. So he's just trying to find the stride of, where do I go when I'm hungry and I'm driving somewhere? Like, what are the things I can eat off this menu? He would totally appreciate that.
Yes, for sure.
Because I want him to be healthy.
Okay, good. I'm so proud of him.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So it's torreihart.com. I want to thank everybody for listening. You've just made my day. And
thanks for having me.
Yes, and I'll be blogging about this on
Okay.
Where you can hear this in 2 weeks.
All right. You just let me know, and I'll make sure that I put it on my social media so we cross-merge, cross-promote, and let's blow up and stay in a positive mindset, stay happy, and keep going.
Let's do it. Much love, Torrei.
Okay. And I will talk to you soon.
You will. Yeah, really soon.
All right.
Have a great night.
All right. You too, Stormy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.